Yeah, it really is. It's tough. A brother, playing the game with a brother. I'm hurt, I'm sure he is, but it's more important for me just to be able to support him. I know he's got more opportunities coming his way. Love that guy, proud of him. Number one supporter in here for him no matter what.
So the Ezekiel Elliott free agency situation just took a very interesting turn. And I don't know if this is supposed to be something that's like cryptic or this is just a matter of fact thing that maybe we're blowing out of proportion, but I still thought it was worthy of me bringing to your guys' attention. So before we get to the content, we just started announcing giveaway winners on my Twitter account. Every weekend, we're going to be selecting my followers on Twitter that follow me and turn on my notifications to win cash prizes. And now that we get all that out of the way, work! Some of the green slips you guys have been sending me is crazy. Like $1,250 off of a $250 slip, or $1,500 off of a $150 power play. We've been making bank off of our basketball picks, bro. March Madness was a huge success, and believe me, we're about to ramp it up for the NBA playoffs. All you have to do is download Prize Picks, use my promo code microphone, and they'll match your first deposit up to $100 instantly. After that, just follow me on Instagram. I post all of my picks onto my Instagram story for free, and we can start making money off of these picks together. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? I gotta admit, the release of Ezekiel Elliott really affected me to my core as a Dallas Cowboy fan. This is not an individual that I wanted to see released, and I had a pretty sizable attachment to him. He was our starting running back for the past 7 years. Well, I guess you don't really have to count 2023. And his release, although it made a lot of sense, definitely felt like a breakup that I just didn't want to go through. But the Cowboys didn't really have any choice, considering the fact that they overpaid Ezekiel Elliott to begin with. Bear in mind, Ezekiel Elliott to this day is still the third highest paid running back in NFL history. The man has made $70 million throughout the entire span of his career. There's no state income tax in Texas. So from a personal perspective, yes, of course, Ezekiel Elliott didn't win a Super Bowl, but for the most part, I would say that his career was a gigantic success. Making that amount of money at this age as a running back in the NFL, which bear in mind, he's 27 years old, is fantastic. I mean, it's phenomenal. It's something that all the other running backs in the NFL are probably aspiring to, but they're probably not going to be able to do it because, well, Ezekiel Elliott, with all due respect to him, wasn't worth that money at all whatsoever. The cap hit really handicapped the Dallas Cowboys and had to force them to make some very difficult decisions, such as letting go of Amari Cooper, trading him for peanuts on the dollar, a 6th round pick. And although I have read my comments and a lot of Cowboys fans are saying,
Mike, that's not the reason why Amari Cooper was let go. Jerry Jones was frustrated at his production.
I firmly believe that that was just Jerry Jones getting everybody ready for Amari Cooper's impending departure, and the primary reason he was let go to begin with was strictly because of financial reasons. But regardless, the Cowboys made their decision. They released Ezekiel Elliott, and when they released Ezekiel Elliott, Zeke put out a wish list of teams that he wanted to play for. And man, this was actually one of the more comical moments in free agency, and I'm surprised that it wasn't really covered more in depth. If you guys forgot the tweet, Ezekiel Elliott said that he narrowed his options about where to play to the Eagles, Jets, and Bengals, and he would like to make his decision about where to sign by the end of next week, per sources. It's been almost a month since this tweet came out. I mean, it was tweeted out on March 23rd, 2023. According to my advanced calculus, it's been more than a week since this tweet came out. It's been more than 2 weeks since this tweet has come out. And the moment he said the Philadelphia Eagles, I immediately tweeted this, thinking of when DeMarco Murray hopped to the Philadelphia Eagles after his most successful season to date, although this isn't nearly the same thing. Ezekiel Elliott had one of his worst years of his season last year. Some people would say it's because he was injured. Others would say because the Dallas Cowboys didn't play him very much. Regardless, it's not the same situation at all whatsoever. And it gets even crazier. Each and every one of those teams pretty much told Ezekiel Elliott,
I'm good.
I mean, Zach Taylor of the Cincinnati Bengals said this.
There's a lot of great players that are available right now. We like our team is where it's at right now, but it's always funny when things get thrown around. Sometimes it's the first you hear of it, but that's just the way life works.
Nick Sirianni said that he was more than comfortable with the halfback room that they currently have.
Feel really good about the room as it is right now. We love the addition of Richard and wanted to coach him for a long time.
And well, if that wasn't bad enough, wait until you see what New York Jets running backs Breece Hall and Michael Carter said about Ezekiel Elliott. Breece Hall tweeted at Michael Carter saying, "I think we're good over here." At Michael Carter, how about you? At the end of the day, you have to understand that it's not like Ezekiel Elliott is going to any new team to be a bell cow halfback. The reason why Ezekiel Elliott is switching teams is because he wants to win a Super Bowl before the end of his career. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Although Ezekiel Elliott's future is severely up in the air, we do have a bit of an update as to where it's going. The most recent report we had up until today was the fact that Ezekiel Elliott was clearly in the background of the Cincinnati Bengals facility, despite Zach Taylor saying what he said. Now, bear in mind that the Cincinnati Bengals starting running back Joe Mixon is already dealing with some off-the-field issues. We've covered it in our previous video on him, how his aggravated menacing case got reopened just a few days ago. So do I think Ezekiel Elliott is going to go there to replace Joe Mixon? Not really. Again, I still think Zeke is going to be a complementary piece to whatever team that he ends up going to. But what I think is really interesting and even a little likely is what I'm about to introduce to you now. So a few days ago, Dak Prescott ran a workout with the Dallas Cowboys, and it was a workout session with Jake Ferguson, Simi Fehoko, and Ezekiel Elliott. Yes, I mean, it's almost as if they went out and got a cameraman to make sure everybody knew that this was going down. Now, this isn't anything far from normal. I mean, we've seen so many instances of players just working out with each other in the offseason, but it seems like Ezekiel Elliott also dropped some footage on his own social media of him training. So what could this mean? Well, I personally am a firm believer that the market for Ezekiel Elliott isn't as robust as he might think. The problem is not only did Ezekiel Elliott recently have one of his worst seasons to date, but this is one of the better running back draft classes that we've had in recent memory. Combine that with the fact that the value of running backs is diminishing greatly, and you have the issue that Ezekiel Elliott is currently facing, the fact that there isn't much of a market for him. I would personally love to see him go to a team like the Buffalo Bills or the Kansas City Chiefs, although typically running backs that were performing very well on their original team don't really do as well on Kansas City. If you remember what happened with LaShawn McCoy, and then of course what happened with Le'Veon Bell. But you could also make the argument that those players were closer to the end of their careers than the beginning of their careers, and maybe the wheels just fell off the wagon for them. Maybe they were a shell of their former selves. Like, at the same time, you have to understand that Micah Parsons recently worked out with DeAndre Swift. Does that mean DeAndre Swift is going to join the Cowboys or Micah Parsons is going to join the Lions? No, this can mean absolutely nothing. But if you also remember, Ezekiel Elliott originally said that he would be willing to take a pay cut to stay with the Dallas Cowboys. So if he is just enjoying his time as a member of the Dallas Cowboys, and he enjoys the respect he has there, and he enjoys how comfortable he is as a member of the Cowboys, maybe he's comfortable with the amount that he's made throughout his career. Maybe he wants to get into the good graces of the Jones family, maybe make a transition into coaching one day. I don't necessarily know. It really depends on what Ezekiel Elliott is looking for. The Cowboys have made some great offseason additions in the form of Stephon Gilmore and Brandon Cooks. I don't think it's the wildest possibility for them to make a Super Bowl run, but they're currently favored as the team with the 6th highest odds to make said run. So maybe he feels like he has a good chance with the Dallas Cowboys and he wants to be there should they be able to win a Super Bowl. It would really suck if the moment you left your original team to go to a new team that is going to give you a slightly reduced role. It would suck if your original team won a Super Bowl. But I'm not trying to say that I think the Cowboys will win a Super Bowl, but maybe that's what he's thinking. At the end of the day, I think the most likely scenario for Zeke is actually returning to the Cowboys on like a very small contract. The reason why I think that's going to happen is he seemed very content in the role that he was in, coming in relief for Tony Pollard or in situations that it made sense for him to be there. The Cowboys still have plenty of use for Ezekiel Elliott. He's one of the best pass blocking running backs in the entire NFL, and we don't necessarily know how long they plan to keep Tony Pollard on the roster. Bear in mind, Tony Pollard is on the franchise tag. Maybe they draft after running back this year. There's been many mock drafts that say Bijan Robinson is very likely to go to Dallas. But also, the Cowboys do have a connection to Deuce Vaughn, who is another highly sought after running back in the NFL draft this year. Chris Vaughn, Deuce's father, is an area scout for the Dallas Cowboys since 2017. He hasn't scouted his son, but there is a connection there. So maybe the Cowboys do decide to draft their running back of the future, keep Ezekiel Elliott on the roster, and then Tony Pollard departs in free agency next year, and they could hand the keys off to Deuce Vaughn or Bijan Robinson, and then have Ezekiel Elliott mentor him. I don't really know. Again, this is a highly speculative video just based upon one practice session that Zeke has had with the Cowboys and the fact that there hasn't been much of a market for him ever since he's announced that he has 3 teams that he's interested in. So let me know in the comment section down below, where do you think Ezekiel Elliott's going to return to? I don't think it's going to be the XFL. I just think it's a funny thumbnail to put there. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.